Hello and welcome back to the Mind Over Monsters YouTube channel. We're here to learn more about the therapeutic tools and interventions that we can use in our everyday lives to improve our well-being. We've all felt overwhelmed and struggled with unhelpful thoughts at some point in our lives. I'm Scott, a counseling psychology graduate and counselor, here to shed some wisdom on this topic. So let's get ready to learn more about reframing. Have you ever been in a situation that feels hopeless? Do you feel stuck? Can't do anything right, or nothing will ever change? Have you felt demotivated? Well, today we're talking about reframing. Reframing is a cognitive behavioral technique that involves changing the way we interpret events or experiences. And there are several types of reframing. For example, there is context reframing. This means looking at the context of the situation and trying to reframe it. For example, as students, we're prone to making mistakes at the beginning phases, but sometimes we don't recognize this context and we can be pretty hard on ourselves. So if we make a mistake, remember the context around it and try to focus on that. You're a student and you're learning. Another type of reframing is emotion reframing. Sometimes when we experience an emotion, we might default to a general emotion that might not actually fit the context. For example, if we're blocked from our goal, we might call it anger, but in reality, this could be frustration. And we may see frustration as a more temporary emotion, something that we can get over. Another type of reframing is problem reframing. This involves looking at a challenging situation or problem and trying to change the way we think about it. Sometimes, if we're in the fight or flight condition, we might see a problem as insurmountable. However, if we take a step back and re-examine the problem, it may be able to be broken down into steps. And if we can break it down into steps, we can overcome it with effort and perseverance. Ultimately, the goal of reframing is to change unhelpful thinking patterns. And by changing unhelpful thinking patterns, we can gain a new perspective on situations. And with a new perspective, we become open to new opportunities in our environment. So reframing can be a very powerful tool for changing thinking patterns and our perspective on situations. So this is a great technique to use in addition to other cognitive behavioral techniques. Is there a challenging problem or situation in your life that you'd like to get over? Are you feeling overwhelmed by unhelpful thinking patterns? You may want to try the cognitive technique of reframing. Here are a few tips to get started. Identify a problem or situation that is causing negative emotions. After identifying the situation, notice your initial thoughts and emotions. What are you telling yourself about this situation? What emotions are you experiencing? For example, if I'm struggling to make friends at university, I might be telling myself, oh, it's hopeless. Like, I'll never be able to make friends. I'll also feel sad and hopeless. And now that we understand these thoughts and emotions, we can challenge them. At this point, it's time to examine the evidence for or against this thought. It might be a situation where your school is largely commuter-based and everyone just wants to leave after school. It's not because they don't want to hang out. It's just that they want to beat traffic. It's also important to see if there's another way to look at the situation. But once you've come up with some evidence and challenged the thought a little bit, it's time to reframe it. Try to reframe it in a more neutral or positive light. For example, if you wanted to make friends at university and it's not really panning out, maybe an opportunity to show gratitude toward your friends in other social spaces. If you can understand the situation, you can alleviate a lot of the pressure off yourself. So if you come up with a good amount of evidence and reframed it, test it out and see how it feels. Does the reframing make you feel better? Does it open up new possibilities or solutions? This reflection will let you know if you need to change it anymore or if it's good to go. Reframing is a skill that takes time to develop, but with time and effort, it becomes easier. You will be better at identifying and then challenging your negative thought pattern. And in the best case scenario, you can change those unhelpful thoughts into thoughts that can help you grow as an individual. So when should I consider trying reframing? If you find yourself struggling with negative thoughts or emotions in your everyday life, we all have nagging thoughts about situations that have occurred. Reframing can be a way to alleviate that stress off of us. You might want to consider reframing if you're struggling with acceptance. You may be able to see situations in a different light, which will help with acceptance and moving on. If you struggle with problem solving, reframing can be seen as a reflective practice that examines the situation using evidence and testing that evidence in the real world. You may end up with a solution you never thought of. So while reframing can be an effective tool to improve our mental health, it's not a substitute for evidence-based treatment like medication or therapy. If you are experiencing mental health issues, it is a good idea to talk to a healthcare professional or mental health professional for guidance and treatment options. That ends my presentation on reframing. If you have any questions, comment below or reach me on my website, www.mindovermonsters.com, or on my Twitch at mindovermonsters. Thanks for watching.